and desiring others to think as we do. Help us to seek justice without belittling others. God, we thank you for these elected leaders who do their best to serve our community and us. Remind us that we exist in democracy together and all voices are important. Finally, we pray your blessing over this assembly and thank you for the opportunity to strive for an even better community in which to live. We offer this prayer in the spirit of love that we know you expect us to show one another. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Jimmy Tanner, would you please join me at the podium? Good evening, sir.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Mr. Tanner is the tax man. He's the tax assessor for Gaston County, and we are very, very proud of him and his department, and we're extremely proud of the job they've done during the last property revaluation. And without further ado, I will get on with the proclamation. Whereas Mr. James D. Tanner is the director of the tax department for Gaston County, and whereas each year one county from a large jurisdiction is recognized out of 100 counties throughout the state for outstanding achievement in tax administration and public service as a result of developing new technologies, processes, or programs that continue to improve the tax assessment profession. And whereas during the 2015 North Carolina Association of Assessing Officers Conference, Mr. Jimmy Tanner in the Gaston County Tax Office was awarded the Joseph E. Hunt Distinguished Jurisdiction Award for the implementation of the Taxpayer Appeal Assistance Program during the 2015 reappraisal project. And whereas Mr. Tanner has been selected as the recipient of this award 4 years out of 5, 2 in Franklin County at his previous employment, and 2 here in Gaston County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners congratulates Mr. James Jimmy D. Tanner, Tax Director, upon being awarded the Joseph E. Hunt Distinguished Jurisdiction Award to be adopted the 9th day of February, 2016. And I will present the plaque and the commendation to Mr. Tanner and ask him to say a few words. Congratulations
Thank
again.
you, sir.
It is an honor.
Appreciate it. Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. It is an honor to have received this for the last 5 years. And, you know, us managers, we can sit around at night and think of ideas to make our profession better and efficient and more effective. But it really takes a good staff to make these things work. And that's really what we have. We've really got a good staff in the tax office. So, yes, sir.
Jimmy, just wanted to say thank you for your service for when you got here, how smooth of a transition, but also how easy you've made it for all of us to have you in the tax office. I know that doesn't come as you're the most popular man in town, but I can tell you to 7, 8 people probably you are. So thank you and your staff.
Appreciate it.
It means a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Commissioner Mickey Price has the next commendation.
Would retired Captain David Yelton please join me at the podium, and friends, family, and co-workers. Whereas Captain David Yelton retired from the Gaston County Sheriff's Office on January 31st, 2016, with over 16 years of service at the Gaston County Sheriff's Office. And whereas Captain Yelton has requested that he be awarded the service sidearm and badge worn during his service with the Gaston County Sheriff's Office pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 20-187.2 and Board Resolution 259 dated October 27, 1983. Now therefore be it resolved by the Gaston County Board of Commissioners that the badge worn by Captain David Yelton and his service sidearm Glock Model 22, serial number SXV, be declared surplus equipment. The badge worn by Captain David Yelton be given to him in honor of his service with the Gaston County Sheriff's Office. The service sidearm Glock Model 22, serial number SXV, be permanently retired by the Gaston County Sheriff's Office and offered to retired Captain David Yelton at a price of $1. The Gaston County Sheriff's Office is directed to award Captain David Yelton with the service sidearm and badge as specified and worn by him during his service to the Gaston County in accordance with North Carolina General Statutes and the policy of this board. Be it further resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners expresses its sincere gratitude for the dedicated service of David Yelton and wishes him the best in his retirement. This to be adopted today, the 9th of February, 2016. Congratulations, Mr. Yelton.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Dave, I have your gun. But first of all, I just want to say that Captain Yelton's been to the Sheriff's Office 16 years and been there. Sheriff Russell hired him. But most people don't know that Dave is a retired staff sergeant from the United States Marine Corps.
Staff sergeant.
Now, what was it?
Master sergeant.
Martin Sergeant.
Master sergeant.
God almighty, Master Sergeant. Me and you talked about that on the way up here.
Yeah.
Concussion.
Did I tell you I had a concussion? See, everybody's getting real worried about me because I'm messing up a little bit lately, but they say it will go away. Well, he was a Master Sergeant, and he brought that to the Sheriff's Office and ran a good shift and did the people of Gaston County a great job. But there's one other thing that I want to recognize him for. During his time at the Sheriff's Office, he's been a leading force in our involvement with the special needs population in this county. He has taken a leadership role not only at the ARC, but also with Special Olympics. He's motivated the Sheriff's Office to raise money numerous times where for the torch run, where we've raised enough money to have our name put on the T-shirts every year. For how many years now? 5 years. He has organized many fundraisers and been a driving force there. And I want to publicly thank you for making the Sheriff's Office that much of a better place because of you helping us give back to the community, and your leadership is going to be greatly missed. And I'm going to miss you. I just want you to know that. And enjoy your retirement. But he's going into chicken farming. That's all I know, sir. But thank you very much, Dave. You did a great job. Thank you.
I couldn't miss the opportunity to come up here tonight to say a few words. I've been here before and talked to you about Special Olympics, and I don't want to take and ruin my record. So I just want to remind you, on March 12th, we have a polar plunge. Now, I know most of you guys are a little afraid of that cold water. So this year, we've added a walk. So those of you that don't want to jump in, you can put a little bit of money in there and walk around a little bit and have fun and still support the Special Olympics. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Price. It's a great pleasure for the County Board of Commissioners to honor citizens who have unselfishly given of their time, talents, and skills and energies in service as an appointee to one of our boards or commissions. This type of service is the foundation for citizen involvement in our county government and is helping shape the future of our community. We gratefully acknowledge the work of the following individuals, and certificates of appreciation have been mailed to them. Mr. Holt Robinson for his service on the Caramount Health Gaston Memorial Hospital Board of Directors. Louise Alvarez, the Council of Aging and Home Community Care Block Grant Advisory Committees. Phil Coyle from the Economic Development Commission. Barry Joy, Fire Advisory Board. Billy Wakowiak, the Transportation Advisory Board. And Giovanni Gambino, Travel and Tourism Advisory Board. Thank you, citizens, for your service. Our next item is citizen recognition. A portion of the board's agenda is to set aside time for the purpose of allowing citizens an opportunity to offer comments and suggestions. This comment period is not intended to require the commission and/or staff to answer any impromptu questions or provide a response. Questions requiring a response shall be answered as soon as possible through the county manager or the clerk's office. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes. When I call your name, if you would come up and please just give us your name and address for the record. We only have 2, and I think one wants to wait. Which one wants to wait till the regular meeting? Okay, I was given some information about that. Then we'll start with Mr. Bumgardner, followed by Mr. Hastings.
You wanted to wait.
Oh, you did want to wait?
Oh, I didn't know you were asking about that.
Okay. Do you want to wait a little bit? Mr. Hastings, greetings. Again.
I think the volume's right. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for allowing us the time to speak. And of course, there are thousands of issues we could speak about: lower taxes, less crime, economic development, education. But recently, there have been some press reports about transportation in Gaston County. And so I felt like, as a representative of a big portion of Gaston County, that maybe I should come and speak to the people and explain to them some of the difficulties with transportation law, and transportation funding, and what we've done to try to improve that with the help of my colleagues in the General Assembly, Senator Harrington, Representative Torbett, Representative Bumgardner, and of course Senator Curtis is not here tonight, and my colleagues in Cleveland County, which includes the Speaker. So I'll be very brief. Just a brief history. We have moved from what was the equity formula, which was a formula that did still allow politics to drive road decisions. And we've moved into what's called STI. And within the parameters of STI, there is now a data-driven process. It's not a political process other than local elected officials submit projects through the MPO, which some of you are involved with that particular board. But within STI, we also have to deal with difficult words like cascading effect, fiscal constraints, the cascading effect, which takes different projects down into different tiers, such as the state tier, the regional tier, or the division. And all of that comes about, like I said, mostly all of it, through the MPO process. And remember, the MPO process, and we're a member of a 3-county MPO, Gaston, Cleveland, and Lincoln, that is a federal mandate. Those MPOs are a federal mandate. And within that federal mandate, we have to conform a lot of what we do at the MPO, not only to the state plan, but the federal officials have to approve many of these projects. So it's not an easy process. Also, you have to remember the federal government has a key role in the environmental permit process, which can be very difficult. I did want to remember to remind you that if you're looking for local control, these locally elected officials from Gaston, Cleveland, and Lincoln counties are the ones who primarily put forth the projects to be scored under the data-driven process. Now, in Gaston County, of course, we have had to deal with a toll road in southern Gaston County. Unfortunately, the new data-driven process, unfortunately for the people who supported the toll road, the data-driven process provided for a very low score. The other thing that was unforeseen was a lawsuit filed in federal court. And what you have to remember, those of us in leadership positions have to make decisions based on a fiscally constrained MPO. It's like a home budget. We only have so much money to spend. And if one project is tied up in a lawsuit, that money still has to be accounted for. And none of us really knows when that lawsuit will end. So those of us in the position of leadership had to move forward and say, we have to forget that project so we can move on to other key projects. And within our MPO, some of those are completing the Shelby bypass, widening I-85 in Gaston County from Belmont to 74, improvements to Highway 150 to the new Shelby bypass, which will help Cherryville and that area of the county, Bessemer City, tremendously. We also want to improve the 74 corridor, and we've worked very hard to find funds to improve the Dallas-Cherryville Highway, which I predict is going to happen sooner rather than later. So I just wanted to share with everyone that by our efforts, by moving forward, enforcing the issue of having the widening of I-85 scored instead of waiting around on the Garden Parkway, we are poised to have hundreds of millions of dollars released, not just in Gaston County, but Cleveland and Lincoln, but primarily in Gaston County. We're going to have hundreds of millions of dollars of transportation investments released in the very near future. So I just wanted to let you know and remind everybody, it's not what we're against, it's what we're for. And we've had to make some tough decisions, and it strained some relationships. But for the people I represent in Gaston and Cleveland counties, I feel sure that I've made the right decisions. So thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings. Yes, sir.
Since he went ahead and spoke, I can go ahead and get out of the way if you want me to.
That would be fine. Thank you, sir. If you would state your name and address for the record.
I'm Dana Baumgardner of the North Carolina House. I represent District 109, Gaston County. Thank you for having me here tonight. I appreciate the time. I came here to speak about transportation also, and since Representative Hastings went, I decided I'd go ahead and go too. I was going to wait for the regular meeting. We've had a meeting earlier tonight, and we had a good discussion, and I appreciate having a sharp debate. I like it, and I think that's how we get good ideas out in the open, and we're able to make decisions, good decisions that benefit everybody in Gaston County. And after all, we all want what's best for Gaston County. I know I do, and I have full confidence that all the commissioners do. Now, we're about to get a major project in Gaston County. We're going to have I-85 widened from Belmont to Highway 74, which is going to be, give or take a little, it's going to be about a $500 million project. That's a major amount of money. And the way that the STI system works, it was implemented in 2013, passed by the General Assembly, signed by the governor. We score roads on an objective basis. These roads get scored by being put forth by local MPO, which stands for Metropolitan Planning Organizations. That gives local input to the roads, and if a project is worthy and it scores well, it has a good chance it will be built. It may be a while. It depends on how prioritized things work out, how much money's involved, how well it scores. It can score very high or mediocre high, but as be that as it may, what we don't need to do is go off on a tangent and try and implement some new system that I have heard some people want to do, which they call Pennies for Progress, which is a program that they have in York County, South Carolina. Now, South Carolina has half the gas tax rate we do. Their rate is 16 cents. I looked it up today, and ours is 35. That's a big difference. And they implemented their program back in the mid-90s, really. Their General Assembly down there passed it because they had no money for transportation. The only way they were going to get anything built was they allowed the counties to raise their own money, but their counties also do road maintenance and build roads, and ours don't. Our NCDOT is in charge of all of that. And so we don't have a mechanism for implementing such a program. We have STI, which means that these programs would have to be scored anyway. And I don't know how you'd work all this out. It'd be complicated. But for years, we bet all of our eggs on one, and we had all our eggs in one basket. We bet the farm on building the Garden Parkway, and it didn't happen. When the objective scoring system came out, it failed, and it failed hard. And so all the time we were in favor, some of us, in favor of widening I-85 because we know we have a problem. Every commuter in Gaston County knows we have a problem on 85. You go out there every afternoon headed south in Belmont where all that traffic comes from 485 on there, you can't move. In the morning, going towards Charlotte, it's the same story. I've been there. I have to use the road like everybody else. if you want to get traffic relief on I-85, widen I-85. And then we have other projects that were mentioned, like the Dallas-Cherville Highway. That's an important project, and it's going to happen, and I'm glad it's going to happen. New Hope Road needs to be updated. It's 2 lanes. But anyway, that's a digression. The county commissioners are going to take a vote later tonight on a Pennies for Progress initiative, asking the state to give them permission to do that. And I don't know how it would work. I don't know what projects they hope to finance. And, you know, I can't support such a thing. Not when we're the 5th highest property tax rate in the state of North Carolina. There are 100 counties in this state. We're number 5. Our taxpayers are carrying a heavy burden already. And I would ask the commissioners to consider that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Baumgardner. I do want to just clarify one statement you made on your way out. You mentioned that the commissioners are going to vote on the Pennies for Progress this evening and do it. We're not asking anything near that. What we are asking the State Assembly to do is to allow us to put it on a referendum for our taxpayers to decide. A little bit of a difference there, sir. Thank you. There's no one else signed up. Is there anybody that would like to speak at this moment? Mr. Crouch, Dr. Crouch, did you raise your hand? Okay. All right. At this time, we will go to our first of 2 presentations. Ms. Debbie Bellinger from Caramount Wellness Program Director.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. I appreciate it. I'm here to speak to the first year of our wellness program in partnership with you. And I would first like to say thank you very much for the trust that you have honored us with to serve you as your wellness partner. And we have some good news to share. I would also like to say thank you to Earl and Pam for the ongoing support and leadership as we do our work. And I'd also like to share that we, to date, have touched 550 unique lives thus far. And that's a very good year 1. So we're happy to tell you that. So I'm going to start by sharing the history of this first year of work, in case you're not familiar with it. We began the journey last year, just about this time. We entered into a 3-year agreement with you to provide wellness programs and services to your covered lives. In February, we hired the wellness coordinator, Jason Colomb, who's sitting with me here this evening, who has done great work. And then June through August, we got very busy actively screening all covered lives who were invited to screen. We had an incentive put in place to motivate folks to engage with us, and we had a very high level of engagement. We're happy to share with you that we screened 1,148 employees, which is stellar. We screened 1,333 covered lives. Then in September, we engaged with Blue Cross Blue Shield to do a roadmap survey, which allowed us to speak to several folks within Gaston County government at all levels to get a better sense of the culture of wellness that currently exists. And we had some very good data that was a result of that survey. And all that to say, why are we working so hard at wellness with Gaston County government? There are many high-level reasons, and so I've just denoted a few for consideration. We absolutely want to reduce the number of sick days for the workforce. We absolutely want to reduce short-term disability, keep folks healthy and at work. We want to increase productivity. We know that well folks are more present at work and more productive, and we absolutely want to assist in reducing the cost of care. The outcomes of the surveys and the screens were actively reviewed through the month of November and December in 2015. So we had the Blue Cross Blue Shield survey data, which was very good. We had about 600 folks participate in that survey. And we also looked at the survey that we garnered from the health screens that we did June through August. We took that data forward, Pam and I did, to the monthly steering and wellness committee meetings for conversation, and we too had some very lively conversation about the data that we found. So I'm going to start by sharing some of the outcome data that we garnered from this work. So the good news is the overall score, as determined by the folks that we screened, came out at a 68, which is a doing well score. So relative to the work that I've done in Gaston County to date with my team, this is not a bad score. We've seen much worse, and we have seen better. But overall, the score for Gaston County at this time was a doing well score. And then if you put all covered lives into that score, we sorted the data by employees only and all covered lives in, that is also a 68. So this becomes the baseline data for us to start the journey together. Based on the personal wellness profile data, the executive summary that we get from all of the folks that we screen basically produces the top 6 risk factors, and so we're going to share those with you. The number 1 risk factor for Gaston County government is lack of exercise, not uncommon to most companies today. The second biggest risk factor, is weight management. The third is poor nutrition or lack of good nutrition. The fourth is high blood pressure. The fifth is osteoporosis. And the sixth is lack of sleep or poor sleep. So these are the top 6 risk factors that we have, which basically establishes baseline data. Again, not uncommon to anyone else in Gaston County. We did a little bit deeper dive in the data, and we also determined that 46% of the employees at Gaston County government exercise less than 3 days a week. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends 5 days a week or 150 minutes per week. 48% of Gaston County government employees' BMI is greater than 30. 29% of Gaston County government employees have a blood pressure greater than 140/90. 11% of Gaston County government employees have diabetes. And 10% of Gaston County government employees are smokers. When we also factored in the Blue Cross Blue Shield cost of care data, we had some interesting data here as well. So this is the current state. We know that the cost of care is $17 million per year. $6 million per year is attributed to your complex members. There is a definition for that as defined by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Generally speaking, it's a member who costs the health plan more than $50,000. You have 292 of those members. You also have $2.6 million per year attributed to chronic high-risk members. And that's 210 members. If you add those two, that's 502 members, almost 50%. Some of the data that we gleaned from the Blue Cross Blue Shield survey, we also denoted that annual physicals are lower than industry. Disease and case management rates are lower than industry. Emergency room visits are higher than industry. The healthcare spend cost drivers are orthopedics, cardiology, endocrinology, obesity, and depression. We also found by surveying these folks that a lot of the employees shared the barriers to participation are, I don't have time. 71% said that, but 72% also said they were ready to make change, which is very good news. They told us the activities have not been convenient, their workload does not permit time to participate, and they feel guilty for leaving their workstations. So with this data, we sat down with the Wellness Steering Committee and the Wellness Committee members, and Pam and Earl and myself and Jason, and we established some recommendations for year 2 of our work, and these are the recommendations. We would like to focus on exercise, which will afford the greatest impact on all the disease processes that we've noted. So we'd like to increase the wellness score by 2 points to move it from 68 to 70. We'd like to increase the number of employees exercising 3 days a week by 5%. So our 215 baseline currently sits at 46%. We would like to achieve 51%. We would like to engage the directors and managers, and we presented to the directors 2 weeks ago with some very lively conversation. It was wonderful. I was on the agenda for 10 minutes, and we were still talking at 60 minutes, which was great. And we'd like to engage the high-risk departments and do a little bit more of a risk stratification and work with specific departments that have great need. Something that we did when we did the screens was we sorted the data by department. So we have that data as well to work with. So the call to action for all of us is to get busy on year 2. Basically getting folks moving more is where we want to focus. And sharing the information with the commissioners as we're doing, meeting with as many managers as we possibly can, working with our steering committee, which is in place. We meet tomorrow. Working with our wellness committee and the wellness ambassadors, which basically are the worker bees to get out to the frontline staff to help share the messages of all the programs. And we are really, really going to focus on exercise for 3 high-risk departments, and they are access, administration, and the library. And lastly, this is an overview of the roadmap for 216. These are the programs that we currently have mapped out for you. I will share that we just finished up the Step Up to Shape Up, and you had 238 employees in a walking program most recently. It's outstanding. It's very good. Currently, we're in the middle of a health revolution, an 8-week wellness program with a team challenge, and you have 150 employees in that who have yet to engage, brand new employees, which is very exciting. And we have almost 300 folks registered in that program. We'll be doing another Step Up to Shape Up. There was such demand, there's a wait list, so we'll do it again. We'll have a Couch to 5K to get everyone ready for the Caramont Community Challenge. And we're going to do an 8 weeks to fitness again. We've done that twice already with very good participation and attracting mostly beginner participants, which is great because those are the ones with the greatest needs. We have a fruit and veggie challenge coming. We'll be coming back around with our employee screens again in June through August. And we have an ongoing hiking group that Jason leads with others from Gaston County government. Currently, we do offer Weight Watchers. You have a good class going. We do monthly lunch and learns with 50, 60 participants every single month. With my Caramont coordinator, she's a little jealous because Jason comes to the team meetings and shares all his success. But we were happy to hear we have 58 in ours this week. So it's on. And we do 15 to fit workouts. Several of you in here have participated. And we have ongoing Zumba and yoga classes. And at this point, I would entertain any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Enjoyed the presentation, and I think just about everything you said goes without saying. And we only have one way to go, and that's up.
Thank you.
Any comments? Mr. Williams.
Debbie, when is the Caramont Health in May, the community event?
May 14th.
May 14th?
Mark your calendars.
I'm marking it right now. So where's it going to be at?
We are back to Cramerton.
All right.
Could you be a little more specific?
Stuart Kramer.
Stuart Kramer.
High School.
I appreciate what you guys are doing. I think a lot of the kudos goes to the support staff and having somebody so willing to help implement this. Our county manager is just really a great example to all the employees in the county. Really health conscious, and Eric Johnson does a great job of engaging our employees. There's so many programs, so many things going on. So I'm really impressed at just the number of employees that you guys have already gotten engaged and involved in these kind of things. So Pam, I appreciate you helping get this going. And it looks like the first year's a success, and looking forward to what we can do in year 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your presentation. I would like to see, if possible, I don't know how we go about this, to putting on Channel 16 about the wellness fair going on at the school to promote it through Gaston County. If we're going to promote it with our employees, we need to employ it and promote it with our citizens. So I'd like to see that in some way, shape, or form be put onto the TV station as well.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I've been impressed with some of the employees. I follow Eric Johnson's. He sends emails out and the activity they've got going on in hiking and boating and different things. So it is making a difference. And I was looking at the numbers there of the cost, and we hope that this program is going to reduce those costs. And I don't know if we got any measurements on it, Mr. Mathers, but that's going to be important too, you know. But having good, healthy employees is all important because it shows up in how productive they are, how many days they show up for work, and you know those kind of things. So it all adds up, and I appreciate you guys taking it on for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And thank you, Caramount, for coming out tonight. At this time, I'll call Mr. Tanner back up and congratulate you one more time. He told me he had a short presentation this evening.
Good evening again. Hope it come up. What we wanted to do is give you an update on what we've done in the tax office over the last couple of years. As most people know, what we've done in the last year was primarily the reappraisal. So what we want to talk about in the tax office is the presentation up.
It's
There it goes. Of course, one of the things we want to talk about, we've got 4 divisions in the tax office. The real estate, personal property, collections, and the GIS mapping. One of the first things we're going to talk about, obviously, in the real estate department is the reappraisal that we've done this past year. We completed the 2015 reappraisal. It was a very successful project. Take a lot of pride in what staff has done. We had about a 20-month period to do that project. And it wasn't just about doing the values. It was a lot of things that we did in that project. It's probably more work done in that project in 20 months than anyone done in the state of North Carolina. You know, we come to you and asked you for some additional money to do some things. We wasn't happy with the data being as clean and accurate as it was, so we want to do a complete data cleansing. But we did street level photography. We took new oblique aerial images. We went out and measured and relisted a little over 75,000 residential properties. We've completed everything on time. Right now, the only thing outstanding on the 2015 reappraisal, we have about 16 appeals before the North Carolina Property Tax Commission that we've still got to resolve. But it was a very good, successful project. And the good news is, to date, we saved $403,000 in that project. You know, we come and asked, we did bids and proposals for everything we had to do. You know, one of the things, when y'all hired me, I told you I run the tax office like a business. One of the first things we did, we got the proposals. When we got the funding, we went right back to them people and said, okay, now we're going to compare this to this, do this, and we saved a lot of money. I can't brag about the staff enough. One of the parts we saved a good bit of money in, our staff did 10,000 more parcels on the relist and measure than we had planned on. So right now, to date, Bryant confirmed my numbers, it was $403,000 as of a couple of days ago that we saved in that project. And it was very successful. So we didn't cut corners. We actually did more than we had planned to. So that was very good. Now, other changes in the real estate division, one of the things that to me has been a great success is the complete restructure we've done of the appraisal division. And I'm just going to give you a comparison. In August of 2012, we were about 8 months behind on construction for the 2012 year. The appraisal staff wasn't responsible for doing land changes. They wasn't responsible for doing the deed qualifications, sales verifications, and we didn't have any reappraisal work going on. You compare that to now after we've restructured and changed all our routines. This is February of 2016. We did the reappraisal last year. We took care of over 4,000 informal appeals, almost 1,000 Board of VNR appeals. We've already resolved over half of our appeals to the Property Tax Commission. We're current on the 2016 construction. They're responsible for doing all the land changes, and they're responsible for doing all the land, the sales validations. And we're actually out doing 2019 reappraisal work. So it's just been a completely turnaround, and I can't say enough about when we as managers put together thoughts, having a staff that'll buy into them thoughts and make it work. And, and our real estate staff is a perfect example of that, and that's throughout the office. And to take that a little further, we have a vacant appraisal position that's been vacant for a year. We're not filling it. We're not going to eliminate it because looking forward to the 2019 reappraisal, as the permits grow, we'll probably need that position then. But we've done all of this over the last year with the reappraisal and everything else we've done with one vacant appraisal position. Also, to tell you about the efficiency we've done, we have an appraisal support position that's retiring this month. We're actually going to eliminate that position because of the efficiency we build in now. We're going to eliminate that position, completely do away with it. Other things in the real estate division we've done over the last 2 or 3 things, like I say, the reappraisal going on consumed a lot of time, but we were busy working on a lot of other things that we can do a better job at. We implemented electronic data verification. That was one of the first awards I won in 2012 in Franklin County, one of the first counties to do the electronic appeals. A lot of these things we've done, it's good business practice for the tax office, but it's also a benefit to the taxpayers, either by saving them money in the way we do things or making what we do, the process is much easier for them to understand and to follow. So we did electronic data verification. We walked around all the exterior of the properties, but we wanted to make sure that our taxpayers had confidence in our work. So we wanted to make sure the inside of the structures was accurate as well. So we worked with our IT department to develop electronic data verification. We sent it out with our bills as an insert, so it didn't hardly cost anything. We had over 12,000 responses to that. We was estimating 4,000 to 5,000, so we got 12,000 in, and we had to process them. So it was a little extra work, but it was well worth it. It made our data much cleaner. We put in an electronic appeal process, which is much easier for the taxpayers to file an appeal. We implemented the Taxpayer Appeal Assistance Program, which is, you heard about a little earlier. That's where we went down in the lobby, put in an office environment, had our appraisal support staff man that, and it was basically customer service. We helped taxpayers come in to start with, help them figure out if they had a problem. Our thing is it's not the tax office against the taxpayers. If there's an issue, we want them to help us figure out what it is and fix it. So we tried to help them find comparable sales, comparable properties. Is something wrong about their property? We printed them out anything they need in preparation of their appeals. Once we did that, we took them straight upstairs, handheld them through the whole process. So it was really good. The taxpayers really felt good when they left our office. One of the big things on the cost saving, the first year and a half of the tax office, we saved about $200,000 by some of the things we changed around. One of the big things was, obviously we do a lot of postage. We changed print vendors. We saved about 7 to 10 cents on each piece that we mail. That's just the one part. The other part is by changing vendors, it opened up a lot of the new technology that we use today. Everything that we send out now has some type of scan line, data matrix barcode, or QR codes. And that allows us to do a lot of work much easier and less errors. For example, they also give us the opportunity to do e-statements. Our taxpayers receive their tax bills through email. Every taxpayer that signs up to do this, it saves us postage. We send it to them in an email versus a mailed piece that has to be delivered. Right now, we have about 800 signed up to do that. We're building that. Each year, we get more. So as you see, this is something that doesn't cost us anything, but every time somebody signs up, it saves us money. Using the barcodes and stuff to scanning of personal property abstracts, that's something that we're able to do now. We did an address cleansing project through our new print vendor in association with the U.S. Postal Service. It was a $750 cost to us. And doing that project, and what it does is it takes our file and compares it against the U.S. Postal file, and it sends us a list of every address that's not corrected. It's not been long ago, it was usual for us to get 7 to 8% return mail. Well, we get that 7 to 8% of return mail, and then our staff has to open each one of them pieces, do research, and try to figure out where that new address is, pay postage again, and mail it back out. Well, we did this postal thing that cost us $750 with the new print vendor. They cleaned 4,900 addresses the first time. So we saved over $2,000 the first year in just return mail we had to deal with, but all the time our staff had to do to research that. So, changing print vendors more than just saving 7 to 10 cents a piece. It added a lot of other benefits. The Taxpayer Appeal Assistance area, or the program that we put in, that's the area down in the lobby that we utilize to do that. We did it for the reappraisal, but we still have that in place. For example, when our tax bills went out, we manned it with appraisers because our collections office there, especially in a reappraisal year, we generally say the ones we don't hear in the reappraisal and the appeal, we hear when they get their tax bill. So to make it much easier, if they come into the collections office and had an issue, they could walk right across the lobby to this area where we had it manned with appraisal staff. They didn't have to go upstairs and try to find somebody. We got this. There's 3 cubicles back there. This outfitted the same as their offices upstairs. So they're sitting there doing their work, and somebody comes in, then they help them. So it was no downtime at all. In the personal property division, one of the things we did, we implemented the data matrix readers. We send out about 25,000 abstracts a year. These abstracts come back to us. We have to open them, manually enter the date they were back and that they were returned. We use a data matrix. It's on the inside of the envelope. It simply comes in, we scan it, and it logs it into the system that it's in and the date it's in. There's no manual entry, no chance of error. We scan our abstracts now. That does a lot of things for us. It eliminates the use of paper. We spend a lot of time and effort maintaining our filing room, filing 25,000 abstracts. Then when they work them, they'd have to go pull them abstracts, use the paper, refile them. We used to have to hire temporary help to manage the filing. So we eliminated all of that. The scanned image is tied to account. We bring it up and do it electronic on the screens. If we need the paper, we can get it, but that's rarely. And the big thing is it eliminates the problem of filing errors. When you got a filing room with 25,000 abstracts, one gets filed wrong, it takes some effort to try to find that. In the collections division, we did a lot of changes. One of the things we did was we implemented automated payment processors. Part of the savings we did in our office the first couple of years, we were spending about $94,000 a year for lockbox service. And that's where when we sent our bills out, when people sent that payment in, it went to an out-of-town address, which was a bank, and we contracted with them to do this. They processed our checks. We do that all internally now. It cost us $2,400 a year for the maintenance on our equipment. There was a one-time charge of $24,900 to purchase 2 processors. But we do that all inside now. Now it's only a cost of $2,400 a year, where a couple of years ago we were spending $94,000 a year with the contractor. We do this with no additional staff. We do it with the staff that we have in place now. The funds is in the bank quicker. We process our files that day. We send an electronic deposit to the bank. Within 30 minutes, it's in our account. We get the verification that's in. The payments is mailed to our office, not to an outside office or an out-of-town agency. A lot of our taxpayers had issues with mailing their payments out of town, so that took care of that. And then the end-of-year rush where we have thousands of payments sent to us even though we had a lockbox. While we was waiting on our lines, it would take us sometimes a couple of weeks to get all them payments processed. Now we have all our payments processed generally by the end of the day, never over 2 days. So we get our money in the bank much quicker. The people get their checks clearing the bank quicker. We don't have to handle the phone calls. I wrote a check 2 weeks ago and it's still not cleared, so there was a lot of changes to that. One of the things we did on our front line collections is we captured the routing numbers off of checks. And I'm not going to tell you why. Most people have figured that out. If we have to do some type of enforced collection, going after bank accounts. But these are very small routing numbers. And our staff used to have to key these numbers in. Now we got little readers. It takes about a second, goes through and inputs them numbers right into the file. We don't have to do that. We implemented Auto Agent 2 years ago. That's more of a help to the finance department. When we do our billing file in July and August, the mortgage companies have to pay in the month of November or by November. What would happen, they pay on that file that was done in July or August, and there's a lot of bill revisions that's done over that 2, 3, 4 month period. So our finance office used to have to process a significant amount of refund checks. Now, with Auto Agent, which is free to us, doesn't cost us anything, that file, once we run it, it's updated nightly. So when the mortgage companies pay in November, they pay on a file that was updated the night before. Last year, we had 10 refund checks we had to process. That was it. And again, that was no cost to us. We upgraded our collections website. It's way more customer friendly now. It gives the taxpayer much better research capabilities. The taxpayers can go in and now print their own receipts. They used to have to call us about income tax time. I need a receipt for where I paid. Now they can go on a website instead of have to get on the phone and call us. So that was a big benefit. The automated processors, they sound very complicated and all that, but that's them 2 little pieces of machinery you see there. They will run thousands of payments in no time. And like I say, they do a very good job. They bulletproof. They never break. And the only cost we have of that whole process now is $2,400 a year for our maintenance contract. Upcoming changes, things that we're continuing to work on, implement the interim foreclosure process. We have about 98.5% of our people that paid. 1.5% is the ones we have to really go after. We started working with these properties. I personally started visiting people last week. We did 16 last week. We've already got several $1,000s paid. We got a check for $19,400 that's being mailed today. We've set the majority of them up on a reasonable payment plan where they can start paying. When you hear foreclosure, it's not that bad. It's really something we use to get them in, start paying, and keep them in their property and put them on a plan where they can pay us and get back current. And that's really what we're doing. Really working with the taxpayer. I'm visiting these people personally, talking with them, and working this out with them. We're going to do this with our tax office staff. We've had a vacant position in the collections office for about a year that we've not filled. Knowing that we were going in this direction, we figured we'd fill it when we get into this process. So all the things we've done in the collections office, we've done with a vacant position. We're wanting to rework our complete tax office website, make it more personalized to the divisions, where taxpayers it's easier to find out what they want to know, the forms and everything else. Easier to research specific needs. In each division, if they got a question, they can have links to that person that's responsible for that, and they can do them questions and inquiries by email rather than have to do it on telephone. That's something that we hope to get done over the next 6-8 months or so. And then one of the things we're having an issue with is, fortunately, we in the second and third generation of people that's in farm use. And, we have people now that's in the own use value properties, but they wasn't the one that signed up for the programs. It was their grandparents or parents. So when something happens, we send them deferred bills for current and 3 years back. It's confusing to them. So we're putting together an informational packet now that we're going to mail to every farm use taxpayer in the county. It's going to provide them a lot of information about what program they're in, the specific people that they need to call if they got questions. So we think that'll help us a good bit going forward with all the farm use accounts. That's it. Unless anybody has any questions, we are proactive. We progressive. We constantly get together and think about how we can do things better, not just for us, but what can we do that's better for our taxpayers. And again, I can't brag enough on our staff. I'd put our staff against any tax office in this country, much less North Carolina. And really good group. Makes a difference when you come to work.
Mr. Tanner, I thank you for the presentation, the information, and I would just like to add, and I know I'm speaking for the full board, that, your department is doing a fabulous job.
Thank you.
I've been through 2 or 3 of the revals in my years, and I've never, ever thought one could go as smooth as this one, and we brought that up, I think, in the past also. But I just can't thank you and the way you've got your staff working and the department turning. I will caution you on one thing, though. The bulletproof machines that never break.
That's right.
It's like that field goal kicker that's never missed in 7 years, and as soon as that announcer says it, so I'm expecting something to happen to those babies soon.
Well, it's pretty good, because what happens is they break, they overnight your machine the next day, and then they send you stuff to send that one back. So it'll be down one day, and that's it.
Chip.
I'll concur with Commissioner Kigger. This is my third time going through a reval since I've been a commissioner. And I got to tell you, y'all did a very professional job. I don't know, I may have got one a citizen call. That is so unusual during going through evaluation. And y'all good. I'm not ready to call you Matthew, but y'all good.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Tanner, thank you again. You used the word 2019 as your next reval date. I know with the economy we'll do a lot to that, but I guess as you prepare for that date, it's not too far off. Hopefully we don't ever want to see anybody do a reval before 2019 in your capacity, I guess I should say. But just wanting to let you know, we as a board hopefully support anything you would start looking for that as 2019, so we'd be prepared as well as you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We look forward to many years with you. Thank you.
All right. And just a note on that, we have not done a resolution for when the reappraisal is going to be. Gaston's normally been on a 4-year reappraisal, so that's our planning, but that's some meetings that we'll have to do and get a resolution of when we're going to do that.
Mr. Price.
Thank you. Mr. Tanner, I want to also throw in my kudos for doing a good job on the reval. I will say for the board, some of you may not know, but we have a development in Belmont called Eagle Park. And the people in Eagle Park were really waiting to see what the reval values were going to come out. And I appreciate you coming out and having those meetings with that community, I guess, to quell the storm, so to speak. But their property values really took a nosedive about 208, and the prices of the houses out there did also. But I think that's probably what helped some of the phone calls that I didn't get. And prior to the reval, I was getting them probably 2 and 3 a month. But I want to thank you for that. Also, 2 or 3 months ago, you and I and Director Dobbins were having conversations about having a community meeting for the folks in South Point who were having problems with their wells.
Yes, sir.
Director Dobbins was waiting on some more test results to come back, and I don't think he's gotten them all back yet. And I know Duke Power is still doing some testing, but from a property tax evaluation, have you fielded questions for these people, or do you still feel we need to have a meeting to answer some of those questions? And if the people just need to call your office directly, what's your feeling on it now?
Well, there was a letter sent out to each one of the owners that was affected, or they think is affected, and it had our number on there. We have fielded a few calls, not a lot. I think people know that they're waiting on these individual tests to come back, but we're prepared to have a meeting whenever they want to put one together. I think right now they're in the waiting stage, but we're ready to meet.
Even if we had a meeting, I assumed if a person is still upset, they've still got to go through the appeals process with your folks, and then if it's still being appealed, it's still got to go to Raleigh. Is there any deviation? I mean, if they take it all the way to Raleigh, is there anything else that just because somebody's got a bad well, is that going to affect their property value on the appeals process?
It could potentially affect the value. For the property tax, one of the first steps would be the document saying that you have some type of environmental concern or contamination. That's what starts it. And then what we have to do, there's a couple of ways we look at that. One is the cost to cure. Here's an issue that takes away the value, how much it's going to cost to fix that issue. Or we'll do some studies and say properties was selling for this before the issue, now they're selling for this, and we can quantify what that issue's causing. So there's a couple of ways we'll look at that when we get the information.
Okay,
But it would be an appealable thing, just like anything else.
okay.
It'd be each individual, it'd be up to them to appeal the property, and we'd go through the process. We're aware of it, so we probably will look forward to seeing a good bit of them appeals once it starts.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tanner. Unless there's anything else, we will put an end to the work session and move right into the business meeting. Okay, in
I'll take
about 30 seconds.
I gotta wait for it to say join.
Mr. Chairman, can we take just a minute or two recess?
Okay, we'll
Couple
take
of
about a
minutes.
2-minute recess and
2
come
minute.
back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
It should come up, join.
Good evening once again, and I will call the rescheduled February business meeting to order. And we've already had the invocation and prayer, so that brings us to the business agenda. Any revisions before we approve it? Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to pull item N
Okay,
from the consent agenda.
it is pulled. Anything else? I'll accept a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Brown made the motion, Mr. Philbeck the second. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. There is no citizen recognition at this time, which brings us to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Mr. Brown. We pulled in.
We pulled it, Jeff.
Yeah, Mr. Brown made the motion, Mr. Fraley made the second. Any discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you again, gentlemen. That brings us to item 4. It is the legislative requests. Item A, Board of Commissioners, legislative agenda for the 2016 session
So
of the
moved.
North Carolina General Assembly. Who made the motion?
So move.
Mr. Philbeck, Mr. Carpenter seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Hold on. Mr. Brown.
Just looking back at this, I just wanted to, I think the citizens of Gaston County are smart enough to make this decision about this, so I have,
The second item.
oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Not yet.
Good deal.
Okay.
Making sure they're still smart enough on that one, too.
All those in favor? Thank you. Item B. Pardon? To request legislation for a referendum to authorize an optional 1-cent sales tax to be dedicated for improving Gaston County's transportation infrastructure. Do I hear a motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Carpenter made the motion. Mr. Philbeck made the second. Any discussion? Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I had
Back
a
to this,
feeling you'd
back
be
to back to
raising your
those
hand.
smart citizens again. No, this is something that stands a little different for me, but just wanted to. I think the citizens are smart enough to make their opinion on this, and I think I'll support this one this time to see what we can do with the citizens.
Thank you. Mr. Philbeck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Bumgardner came in and spoke and said that it's something that he wouldn't support, something about a tax increase, and I truly respect his opinion. However, I find it ironic that in our legislative meeting, that the legislative delegation would ask us to support a bond referendum that puts before the people to vote whether they want to do the bonds or not. And they specifically ask us, would we support that? And then turn around and say, well, I don't support giving the citizens of Gaston County a right to vote on this issue. Second of all, when it comes to taxes, the bond referendum, there will be no tax increase if it passes because old debt has rolled off. So the logic is if you don't have a bond referendum, you could actually reduce taxes. So instead of them telling us, let's take this $2 billion and reduce taxes, they're saying keep it the same. So I just kind of think that's ironic to say one thing when you're supporting it, and yet when we're asking for something to frame it in another way. Here's where I'm at. I believe the citizens of Gaston County deserve a right to vote on, one, if they want certain roads fixed or not, and two, if they want to pay for it through an additional sales tax, which the figures have shown 40% of that will be paid by people who do not live in Gaston County because it is a sales tax. The state legislature has increased fees on tags and other things of that nature to help fund transportation. And yet they argue that these fees are not taxes. My argument is anything government takes from people, you can call it whatever name you want, but you can call it a tax, a fee, a tariff, whatever you want to call it. So here's where I'm at. There are issues in Gaston County when it comes to our infrastructure that needs to be fixed. I do believe the state has a plan. However, the Carolina Journal just reported that there is a $60 billion gap in that funding. Furthermore, as legislatures change, so do priorities. So all of this sounds great, but at the end of the day, none of it is set in stone. And whether you are a supporter of the Parkway or not, you can see that everyone thought the Parkway was going to happen, and it didn't. So that goes to tell you none of that is set in stone. With a Pennies for Progress, what it'll allow the citizens to do is to vote on specific roads. The money by law has to go on those roads. And once those roads are built, the tax stops. So whether you agree with Pennies for Progress or not, I think we all can agree, and it's a conservative idea, that local control and local government and government by the people is the best form of government. And if we allow our citizens to vote on this issue, it's the right thing to do, whether it passes or not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Mr. Carpenter.
Okay, well, I was one of the sponsors of this, and I have followed the thing that they've done in York County, South Carolina for several years, and they voted for a penny sales tax. The first time they voted on it, it only passed by something like 270 votes because people are real not trusting what the government's going to do with their money. But that vote was on specific roads. The money was collected by Columbia, but every penny of it come back, and they were able to kind of parlay that with some other federal and state money. And if you go down there and see the roads that they built, but what it's done, it has sparked other economic development, and it would do the same thing here. The one way we can grow out of the higher tax rate that we have is through some economic development, create some more tax base here in this county so that it's shared, the burden is shared. And I think if Mr. Hicks was here with EDC, he would tell you that they're kind of kicking our butt on some economic development projects because they have developed a better road system there. And as Mr. Commissioner Philbeck said, they have kept record on it, and 40% of that one set sales tax comes from people outside the county going in there and are traveling through and making purchases. So people that's using the roads are actually paying for it. And I will make one other point that I think would point out that a sales tax is probably fair and equitable. And I'll use an illustration. Anybody that has any goods or service delivered to them is done through transportation. If they live at a nursing home and don't go anywhere, they're still benefiting from that good transportation system. So we haven't used sales tax so much for that, but I think it probably is fair as you can get. Everybody depends on transportation. Every one of, if you need an ambulance to come and get you, it's got to have a good road to get there. Or, anything that we do is dependent on transportation. So I would encourage people to support this and let our legislators know that they would like to vote on it. Thank you.
Well, I was going to add, but I think the two previous commissioners have said everything I could say, so I won't be redundant. Mr. Price.
Thank you. I guess, I don't know if we're going to be, it's okay to vote on it tonight and send it, but we know that it's going to be dead on arrival, as we've heard from our representatives. So I think we need to not only send it this year, but just because of the short session and everything in the short session needs to be fully supported by all. So this really needs to come back up at a later point and resent. And I don't mind the citizens voting on it. That would be the part of it that's going to be help paying for the roads. Could one of Commissioner Carpenter or how do we get a bridge request into the transportation issues so that when we send this next time, the bridge request into Mecklenburg County can be rated, judged, or somehow get into the new formula?
Go ahead, Mr. Carpenter.
Well, I'm your MPO representative, and I tell you, that is on the list to be evaluated in the next selection of projects to be built. And there's no use lobbying the legislators in it because they've got this system, and it's based on points. I will tell you that another thing that Mr. Bumgarner mentioned was how crowded I-85 was. But if they had not killed the Garden Parkway, funding was in place. It would have been completed in November of 2015, which would have taken, just in cars coming from the southern end of the county. Now, these are facts. I didn't make them up. There's over 12,000 vehicles coming from the southern end of Gaston County that comes up to 85 that goes to in that direction to Charlotte every morning, and they're crowding up New Hope and Redbud and these roads, Union roads, that's coming up to go in that direction. Well, you take 12,000 cars off of there in the morning and in the evening, you might not have that problem as bad as what it is right now. So that's gone. But we did leave on the list, our MPO is on our list, to do the river crossings, actually 2 river crossings from West Boulevard in Charlotte to 274 right near the Speedway, if anybody knows where that is. That would take those 12,000 cars off of the 85 if you use it, and we've asked for it not to be a toll. That seemed to be an objection by many people. So that's the status of that, Mr. Price.
Okay, Mr. Philbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to be clear. Pennies for Progress is not about the Garden Parkway. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. It has to do with all the other road needs throughout Gaston County. With that said, Commissioner Price, if the citizens wanted to, they could add that to be a part of what the bridge to be a part of Pennies for Progress. What I would recommend, if the chairman would be okay, also in the legislative request we just passed, item A, the 2 bridges were in there that we support. I would say we take this Pennies for Progress and make it a continual legislative request until or at which time a future commission would say we don't want it to be a legislative request. That way, automatically, every year, it's a request. Would you be okay with that?
We'll just put it on the next agenda to approve.
Well, we can
No, we amend this. Yes, sir.
Go back and amend A, or add it to B?
Yeah, he made the motion, I second. I make another motion to amend
B.
item B.
B, okay.
That it would be a continual legislative request until a future board votes to do otherwise.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Carpenter, second. All those in, any discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor?
So we're voting on
Amending B to include what Mr. Philbeck just said. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, now we are going to vote on B with the amendment. I'll entertain a motion. Well, we got the motion already on that.
He wanted to say something.
Discussion, Mr. Williams.
Well, I just want to clarify, again, Commissioner Philbeck just did a little bit. I want to clarify the Board of Commissioners' stand on what we're doing here. We're not here to be critical of our delegation. In fact, just the opposite. I actually applaud them for all the progress they've made and all the work they've done in Raleigh. I think the fact is they inherited a broken system. I think it was in disarray, it was in a mess, and I think that they've done a lot of work to fix it and actually even improve it. So I would say that they're doing some good work in Raleigh. I'm not here to criticize that. As a matter of fact, what this is, in my opinion, is an attempt to accelerate the progress that they're making in Raleigh. Representative Hastings spoke earlier tonight about the difficulty of allocating scarce funds. The issues of the gap funding are well documented. They've been talked about here tonight. Representative Baumgardner even spoke about the gas tax. He talked about how our gas tax was really almost double what South Carolina's is. Well, for years, Gaston County has paid that extremely high gas tax and continually been a donor county and seen little funds returned back to Gaston County. And I can appreciate that that's going to change, and I can appreciate that they're working to fix it. But the fact is, all we're asking for is the ability to ask the citizens of Gaston County the right to vote on the ability to locally fund some of the critical transportation projects that we have. Keep in mind, there's no cost to putting this on the ballot. There's no reason not to allow the citizens to vote on what they want to do. And really, I'm surprised that the state opposes this, because it allows us to go ahead and fund some of the projects that are on the list, and then again accelerating some of those other transportation needs that we also have here in Gaston County. So it was pointed out that, we're going to vote on the bonds here next month, and I appreciate them allowing us to vote on that. But to say we could vote on that and then not allow the citizens to vote on transportation needs, if you're telling me which one do I prefer, voting on giving money to state parks or building new roads, I'm going with the roads. And I think the citizens of Gaston County will be with us. So I don't really know what they're afraid of, or I don't know if they think that the citizens aren't smart enough to make the right decision. I can't speak for them, but I hope they'll support this, and if not, clarify why they don't trust the citizens of Gaston County to make that decision. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, we have the motion by Mr. Carpenter, the second by Mr. Philbeck. Any more discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 5, the Board of Commissioners, Governor Pat McCrory's $2 billion Connect North Carolina Bond Act, a referendum on the ballot for March 15th of this year. Motion to approve.
I move.
Mr. Carpenter, second. Mr. Brown. And I'll just simply add that what has been stated many times, that with regards to this particular issue, we're not saying as a united board whether you should vote for or we're pulling against it. We're just asking the public to recognize that it's on there and to use your right to vote one way or the other on this thing. But Gaston County would be a recipient of a very large amount of money if this were to go through. And I have to add again, when we're talking about our delegation being opposed to allowing the county voters to say yay or nay to an optional sales tax that would cover infrastructure of transportation needs, I want to point out it's not our whole delegation. I want to be clear of that. And it is a little remarkable to me that they're willing to vote to say yes, to allow the voters to vote on $2 billion, and at the same time not allow our citizens to vote for a penny sales tax, which would bring, I've heard estimates, I'm not going to say this is
25 million.
between 20 and 30 million dollars annually in Gaston County, and
That paved the
and a
road to
good part of
Cherville.
that, and a good part of that, maybe 20 to 40% would come from people that live outside Gaston County when they come to do their business, do their shopping to Gaston County. So that said, we have a motion and a second. Anything else? Okay, all those in.
I'm just going to go a little sarcastic. I will support. I will support this, but it needs to be noted that if the state didn't spend this $2 billion, that could have been a $2 billion tax cut.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. We had item N, to approve the demolition of the old nurses' dormitory at the former orthopedic hospital on South New Hope Road. Mr. Williams pulled it, and I think he wants to make a request.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, there was a couple of questions that have come up, and so I just want to make a motion to table this, please.
I will second it. Okay, Mr. Fraley, second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you once again. Mr. Fraley, we're going to move right on to appointments. If you have any, please let us hear them.
I have one, Travel and Tourism Advisory Board, Mr. Jim Hoffman.
I'll second that. All in favor? It's unanimous. Mr. Brown?
I just had a question for Donna. That first one for me is not highlighted, but the term expired. Do I need to go ahead and put that in, Donna? Okay, I'll just wait till next month and we'll keep it, but none at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Price.
No appointments this evening.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got two, both of them to the Gaston County Board of Adjustments, Mr. Tim Boland and Mr. George Mason.
Second by Mr. Price. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, sir. Mr. Philbeck?
None at this time. None at this time, Mr. Chairman. And,
All right,
and
thank
Commissioner
you.
Brown seconds that.
Mr. Carpenter?
I don't have any, but I think Commissioner Philbeck said he would agree to go on the MPO board, or TAC as we call it. Is that? I'll make that motion if you're willing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think that's an alternate.
Any
Yeah.
Which one is that?
Do they vote?
I didn't see it on here.
Does the alternate vote?
Yeah, that one.
Sherman vacancy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Mr. Philbeck? Okay. Mr. Price, was that a yay? I didn't see your hand. Thank you. I'll make one to the Fire Advisory Board. Barry Joy to the Fire Advisory Board, second by Mr. Brown. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. I think it was unanimous. Okay. Mr. Fraley, would you have a report?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
None at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Price?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attended the Gaston Family Health Service meeting in January. Just wanted to, I guess, the highlights of that meeting. It was a pretty ordinary meeting, but just wanted to make note that our director, Robert Spencer, received the Order of Longleaf Pine. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Williams?
None at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Philbeck?
Just can't believe Commissioner Price was that short. Thank you.
And Mr. Carpenter?
Only one. I attended the Gaston Healthcare Commission meeting this morning, and we don't hear too much about that because they are a network of people with different departments and groups, both private and public, within the county that meet. Well, they meet regularly now. We used to meet a little more often, but that group is doing a lot to help improve the health of citizens within the county. When we got the report from our hospital group, I was thinking about this, and they're working through all of our organization, our police, our health department, the hospital, through some of the churches and businesses. They even have certification for businesses that participate in different levels of what, bronze, silver, and gold, I believe it is, of how they are have their employees participating in the health care of or the health. I guess you'd say activities of people is so important to the production of how well people, how well they produce. Whether they show up for work, if they're in good health, they're going to show up and they're going to be good, productive citizens. So it's important for all of us to try to take better care of ourselves and push away from those biscuits and eat a little bit better food. So, but they are networking together, and it's having some improvement. We hope to see Gaston County become one of the healthiest counties in the state.
And Joe, I hope to see you at one of these gatherings.
Oh, well, I'm working. I tell you what, I developed this habit of eating when I was young, and I can't break it.
Well, we got to push away from those biscuits, right? Very briefly, I do want to mention, just as a reminder, that the board did hold its planning, wasn't a retreat, I'd call it more a planning session, but it was very positive, very upbeat, and a lot of great news came out of it. Anybody interested in getting a synopsis of that, just let us know, and we will get it to you. We didn't record that meeting, did we? Just audio. Okay, thank you. Second, we did hold our legislative meeting. I know we made reference to it, but that was this afternoon here at the courthouse. And at the very least, 2 or 3 issues regarding transportation were discussed. And I did attend the, I guess the official New Gaston County YMCA coming out presentation earlier this week, and this is going to be a fantastic project. Folks that appreciate and respect and use the YMCA facilities are really going to look forward to this over at Robinson Lake. A large portion of the money has already been raised privately and corporately before they've even actually started the campaign. I believe it's about a $16 million project, and it will be America's #1 state-of-the-art YMCA facility with water sports, paddle boats, kayaking, things of that nature on the lake. They're going to utilize that. But and the last point I'll make, for those of you that are interested in the Gaston GOP, the Republican Party's annual Lincoln Day dinner will be held the last Saturday of the month. I believe it's the 27th or 8th.
Thanks.
Anybody interested can go to the Gaston County GOP website. Next is, I believe, the manager's report. Mr. Mathers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of items. We continue to do all the preparatory work associated with the issuance of school bonds, which we're trying to remain on schedule to make sure that the schools can get those schools constructed in a timely way. And we also continue to have numerous departmental level budget meetings, and we will actually conclude those this week. That's all I have today.
That was a very good report. Thank you. Mr. Moore.
No report tonight, Mr. Chairman.
So moved. What's that? Okay. Well, we really don't need it. I will have to just say I want to thank our viewers for tuning in. This concludes our rescheduled meeting for tonight. Our next work session will be March the 8th, right here in the Harley B. Gaston Jr. Public Forum. Thank you for watching. Please request all information and questions to our clerk, Donna Buff. Good evening.